Okay,
So let's get to business.
let's get to business. So it's been a while since we did the last video. It's actually not been that long. It's only been about a year. Been a year
Yeah.
and like 2 months.
Yeah, it's felt like a lot longer.
And that would be because it's been one crazy year.
Yeah, out of all the years, it has been a year sort of thing. It's a lot of things have changed in the run. So obviously the big sort of elephant in the rooms is Aeons, but not just that. It's like I'd say one of the biggest things that we've done since then is basically work smarter. So using the tools at our disposal more wisely and sort of in every route making sure that nothing's left, nothing that doesn't need to be there is in there. So whether that's an unnecessary upgrade, whether that's something that we get but we never use, like overdoing it on potions and such, we're always like cutting out as much as we can, getting it as close as we possibly can to what we need, and then using that to make us go faster. I guess a good example of that is, I'm not sure if it was in the route before, but before we would used to use slow time for like two fights, and it would lose like 5 seconds, and now we just don't do it anymore because we've just gotten good and we know what to do. And like there was one new strat which made it easier, but at the same time it was kind of we use it for two things, we might as well not use it. And one other thing is, I guess, multi-arrow, we get that and we use it for like one fight rather than like 4 fights that we did last time or something crazy.
Do you think you're close to just cutting it out entirely, or?
I mean, it is essentially yes. It isn't gotten a tool until after the arena now. Before we would get it for White Bavarian, it was like required.
Yeah.
But now we, with the new Master Longbow, or part of the Aeons route, we can just kill the whatever we need to without it. So we just get it for, like, I think it's basically one fight. It's mostly just Kraken and Jack of Blades, and then after that, that's it. You don't really need it for anything else. So you can basically apply it once and be good for the rest of the game.
Okay.
I think in addition to that, I guess we've just had more data. So like before, we were just like, oh yeah, we do this thing because it's faster sort of thing. But now we sort of get an idea of what makes the game tick rather than just sort of this thing happens. Whether that's through our own testing, whether that's modding or whatever, just getting down into the nitty gritty of why does this happen sort of thing.
Right.
Another thing which I introduced and I thought it was going to be like a tiny time save, and this turned out to be a bigger change than anyone expected, was like there's a one hero save strat in childhood where you basically hero save at the end and it skips you from when Oakvale's burning to, and then it just finishes Oakvale. And I thought, oh yeah, it just saves the journey of rolling to your father. But in addition to that, it disables autosaves, and that means that most autosaves where it says autosaving, don't turn off your computer, or like when you're entering a quest area, that just doesn't happen anymore. And then we also realized that it froze the time, which opened more ideas for the route and such, because it's like, oh, we can do different things with the traders now.
Yep.
And I guess another thing is just more community sort of thing. So while it's not directly related to the run, just having more people, even if it's just supporters, or now we have sort of more full-time glitch people like Hotshot, I guess, is a full-time glitch person. He doesn't do runs, he just focuses on glitches. Whereas before, in the earlier days, it was just me doing sort of strats, testing, routing, glitch hunting, sort of all of that. But because of sort of me and my sort of 3-head brain, it didn't exactly go well. And I joke about it, but it's also a thing of, as soon as you get a second pair of eyes looking at a run, they might immediately look and say, oh, why aren't you doing that? That's clearly fast. And it's like, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
And I guess
sometimes you get so far in the hole that you just can't see out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the only way to go is down. Someone's like, go, just dig to the side, you'll be fine. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You can do that?
You can do that?
I guess
that
another
legal?
big... I don't think so, but we'll do it anyway. Another big change is, while it was unofficially a thing, we've finally changed it to having loadless time as the primary method of timing. I'd say probably around this time or earlier last year, we sort of got rid of RTA. We realized how bad RTA was sort of when it came to comparing something against me versus clean. It was like, oh yeah, there's like a 1.5 minute difference when we tie IGT. So that's clearly a problem. basically cheating, buying my way to a world record if we don't change it.
Yeah.
There was the thing of we had to change it for everything because there was old runs that used an old load remover. So we had to like figure out how much time that saved and sort of approximate that and do that for every run and make sure that speedrun.com didn't throw a hissy fit when we changed it because we tried doing it before and it ended so badly. It took quite a while, but we're finally done. It's finally over and we can pretend that RTA never happened.
Which is funny because the last video was mainly in RTA, I think. And then we switched over to in-game time. But yeah, it's whatever. It's in the past.
I'd probably say it was around the time the video was released, not because of that, but more that, oh, wait, no, this is like a big deal sort of thing of loadless time being the most important thing of like how accurate it is and how fair it is, I guess, because we would see times where it would be like, I would have about 8.5 minutes of loads in the run, and then there'd be someone on the leaderboard that has like 12.5 minutes. That's a full 4 minutes just because the loads that we thought didn't make a difference do sort of thing. So
yeah,
it was just like it was also a case of we knew more, so it's like, oh wait, this makes a difference.
I think something as well is that whenever you have like just 1 or 2 or 3 runners, like maybe you don't see the difference as much. You don't see like the whole spectrum. But in the last year, we've seen the rise of Cannibal and Raheem. Both of them have been really coming to prominence. And KJ's sort of fallen off a bit. So it's like we have such a whole different spread of runners now that you might see some different things and maybe like, oh, in-game time is just better for everyone because, you know, Cannibal is like slower than Raheem. Sorry, I keep getting his name wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're the fastest, and then Clean's a little slower than everyone else. You know, it's like stuff like that where it's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, when you only have 3 runners, it's like if one person has this time, one person has that time, one person has another time. There's no way. It's like ties are way less likely in that case. So you're not going to be able to see those differences as easily.
Yeah. So that happened. So in-game time has become the new standard, which is good.
Yeah,
so I can get behind that.
We can all sleep better at night because of that.
I agree. All right. So when the video ended last time, we mentioned a couple of things. There's like Bowerstone North early, but I don't think that's really viable. I don't think anyone cares about that right now. It was because well, let me get my thought out here. That has changed because instead of going for the Soulless Greatsword, we go for the Sword of Aeons, and the Sword of Aeons was something that I mentioned as well. That was sort of like, I think I said like the wizards are sort of crunching the numbers.
Yeah.
And I think it was in October, I think.
Yeah, so I actually checked not too long ago. So it's actually kind of a funny story. Basically, I couldn't do runs for about 3 months because there was a heat wave in the UK last year throughout summer, which meant that my room was essentially a greenhouse and I couldn't actually focus on runs at all. So I was like, if I can't do runs, I'm just going to practice and I guess I'll test. Let's see if I can make Sentinels faster. And it was just like a dumb idea I had. I always message Clean with these dumb ideas of, what if we like did 20 things differently? It might save like 5 seconds. And I did that with the Sentinels. And I got halfway through testing and then I think I stopped for something. And then I looked, I made a new document called Aeons Route V2 at the start of August. And then finalized it in September. Well, okay, here's my confession. And the other guys might hear this and hate me, but I say I finalized it. I've got the sheet in front of me and half the numbers haven't been filled out. I just sort of got halfway through. I'm like, you know what? This is just probably faster. And then I just sort of said, yeah, this is faster. And then sort of hoped that was right. And sure enough, it was. And it's gotten faster and faster. But like all my times there's where I ended it like not even at the bits that I should have probably tested. I just sort of estimated, yeah, that's probably faster.
Oh my God, Etem. And before it's actually slower, we just happen to be getting faster as runners.
We have tested it since just to make sure, and I think with more recent changes to the run, it was that. But I know because the thing that always catches people off guard is that Aeon's earlier has been known for ages. It's been known since like 2016, end of 2016. But it took basically a year and a half, 2 years for it to actually be used in the run. Before it was sort of limited to Xbox Fable only. But I'd say it was because we sat down and it was sort of we worked a bit smarter, and because of those extra tools we had at our disposal. So one sort of thing that helped out Aeons a lot was damage boosting in arena, which I don't even think was a thing, or it was less so of a thing when the last video came out. And it's basically just you stand in the rotor blades, it takes away like all your mana, but if you stand in there long enough, your damage with Berserk just gets boosted to like triple damage or something.
Yeah, I remember Clean in the time that he took the record. That was one of the things that he said was a big boost for him, was being able to do the damage increase in arena, and then that was able to get him a lot more damage.
Yeah, exactly, and that sort of helped with the big concern I had, which was one of the things I never actually timed, was the arena fights. So things like the Rock Trolls and Arachnox, they take a whole bunch of damage from our old Master Greatsword route, but because the Sword of Aeons is a light weapon and it doesn't have a piercing augmentation, it didn't actually like do that much damage. And that was like, even back then when I was testing it, that was my concern, until damage boosting sort of came around and was like, oh wait, no, this is going to make it sort of the same thing. So it was a case of that happened at the same time to make it easier. And then in addition to that thing that I mentioned before about hero saving in childhood, where it froze the time, that suddenly meant that we could do more things with the traders, and like suddenly the trader that we would normally have to spend 30 seconds trading with, we would only have to spend sort of 15 or 10 seconds trading with, sort of thing. So we managed to cut out a lot of trading, which also sort of contributed to the time save, because it suddenly went from we need to trade for like 40 seconds to get Solus to we trade for like 10 seconds and then we've got it. And I guess now we barely even use Solus at all. But
do you actually buy the Solus Greatsword in the route?
Yes and no. It's an optional thing of you can do it and it probably saves a few seconds, but it's at the same time it's way less consistent, and it's got some like there's a few pros and cons. There's like a few quests that are easier / more difficult with Aeons or Solus, but I guess at the same time we're also doing so much damage that most of them are just sort of irrelevant. It also comes down to like a safety thing, so I sort of recommend newer runners get Solus, because you also, while you're there, you get the potions, and those potions sort of really add up. Even though there's only about 12 of them extra, it's sort of like, especially when you're starting out, that can be the difference between finishing a run and not finishing a run, which I guess is the most important thing.
Indeed.
What else did I have? The last like concern I had, which I don't think we ever tested, was about the maze fight, because the maze fight was like heavily like, that was a big sort of reset point. Like a lot of things in the run relied on the maze fight, because we had to do a certain amount of damage and sort of had to make sure all these criteria were met. And I think with the work that it was, I guess, both Avithis and Clean, and I guess to a lesser extent me, I just sort of cheered them on from a distance. But it was sort of a thing of they managed to figure out what makes the maze fight work and what makes it tick, sort of thing, and then we could use that to make Aeons more viable, sort of thing. Especially with the whole sort of like pure Aeons route.
I gotcha.
Because before it was like we would use Solus primarily for that maze fight, and now because it's sort of free regardless, it's sort of like a just go with whichever.
I was talking to Raheem, and he was explaining to me that something that really made the Aeons possible was doing a hotshot glitch to get Berserk 4.
Yeah. I'd say that was also, so that was in the 3rd of January. It's always a joke we have that all the strats get found during or after like the big event, so ESA or GDQ. It's either during or after all the stuff gets found. So Etem mode was found last year after ESA. Hotshot glitch was obviously found during GDQ this year. So maybe when we're all at GDQ, prison skip will get found.
Yeah, fingers crossed, right?
But yeah, no, so like it was actually funny. Hotshot messaged me about this. He didn't even send it in the main Discord. He DM'd me directly. He's like, "Oh, hey, look what I can do." And he just showed me a screenshot of the XP and the sort of negative in the thing. I'm like, "Oh, cool." Because it was sort of one of the things where he was always putting his head down and coming up with these crazy things that you could do that were like mostly completely useless. Like, "Oh yeah, I can like have my shovel stuck in my hand or something." And we're like, "Oh, cool." And then I think about 15 minutes later, he said, "Oh yeah, I can sort of like double buy an upgrade." And I didn't realize at the time. And I said something like, I think I've got the screenshot somewhere. It's like, "Cool, might break the run." And I said that kind of as a joke. And then a few hours later, I'm like, "Oh wait, no, this actually breaks the run." It was just, because for the longest time, we wanted Enflame 4 in Arena. That was like the thing we wanted because of how much damage it did and its range and stuff. It would just make the arena so much easier. And we got a taste of that in 100% because we had a different XP route, which meant we could do Enflame 4 in Arena, and we knew how good it was. And it was kind of like people were around 100%, but they really wanted to just get that Enflame 4 sort of thing.
Right.
So as soon as he realized, oh yeah, you can double buy an upgrade, that was like, oh, the first thing I thought was Enflame 4, we can get that. That's like finally a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then not long after, I sort of got the idea of getting Assassin's Rush after guild training, which would sort of, instead of getting 1 level of Assassin's Rush, you get 2, and that would essentially just make the early journeys a lot easier and a lot faster, and sort of a lot less mana intensive, which I guess was good for Aeons as well. Sort of like every strat that's been found sort of helped Aeons get faster and faster and faster.
It's kind of cool that happened. Like, it was sort of like an idea that was found in 2016. It's a thing they know about for a while, and then all of a sudden, oh, this makes this easier. Oh, this makes this possible now. Oh, this makes this better. Like, oh, all of a sudden, Aeons goes from being like a sort of a neat trick that you can do to being like, oh, this is actually a viable strategy, and it's in fact the optimal strategy in a lot of cases.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sort of a case of now it's crept into every run, like 100%. Before, Aeons was never even gotten. It was like gotten for like 3 seconds when you would normally get it. And people kept bugging me about it. It's like, Etem, Aeons is almost definitely faster. And I'm like, no, I refuse to believe it. I don't want it. This is going to be the last one that changes. But then Aeons was... No, actually, I say that. Aeons was in the route, and then I rerouted it out of the run. Just to spite them.
Dude, Etem hates Aeons.
Yeah, it's true. Send the word. There was also a thing with Hotshot glitch that Assassin's Rush 3 getting it after Orchard Farm might be faster, and to this day, it's like a thing of if you ask anyone, they'll say, yeah, it's probably faster, but no one's been able to test it or sort of prove it's faster.
Mm-hmm. Raheem says that he does it every once in a while, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it's like the main setback is that you have to do some funky stuff with the XP. I'm not sure if sort of Hotshot mentioned how the glitch itself works, but you would have to do some funky stuff with XP upgrades to be able to afford it. It was sort of like a lot of extra padding just to make yourself go a little bit faster, and it was a case of the simplest solution is usually the easiest. So yeah, we just kind of opted not to. But it still might be faster. It might be that next year when you're doing part 3, oh yeah, we use Assassin's Rush 3 now. Come on, get with the times.
Assassin's Rush 2? Dude, that's old hat. Come on.
Boomer talk, I tell you. And here's another thing, and I think I told the other guys about this as well, but Hotshot and I actually sat on the glitch for about a day or so, and I was very conflicted about it because I was like as soon as there's a strat, I want to share it and make sure people know about it, and I didn't want to just hold this thing to myself, knowing how cool it was. But at the same time, I was rooting and doing testing and such for it, so that rather than it being saying, oh, here's this cool glitch, now we have to figure it out, I'm like, here's this cool glitch, here's what it does, here's what it saves, off you go, do some runs sort of thing.
Yeah, I gotcha. Sometimes you gotta hold it back a little longer and just be like, guys, you don't understand. This is big.
Yeah. Even down to naming it, like, because we said, we didn't want to call it just the XP glitch, and I was like, we're calling it the Hotshot glitch, and that's like, when we announce it, it's going to be called the Hotshot glitch, so that nobody has any say in the matter. It's just that's what it is now.
There you go. Gotta give him his credit, man. Okay. So, whenever Hotshot Glitch was first found, how many, like, has it gone through many iterations? Because besides Inflame 4 and Assassin's Rush 2, what else is it like required? I say required, but you know what I mean. Like, what's the big uses for it?
I'd say it's really good for Berserk 4. I'm sure other people have mentioned that, and I always kind of forget about it and just sort of kind of go for it. But Berserk 4, it's a very small time save, but it just sort of makes the run very much way more consistent. I guess that's the same with regular Hotshot Glitch in that when you use it, it just makes your life so much easier. So Arena is basically, before it was an actual like struggle and a challenge, and now it's just kind of free because you just inflame everything except for the last few waves.
That's what I've been listening. That's been what I've been waiting for my whole goddamn life. Because Arena is so hard for me.
You just press buttons. You just press 2, and then you summon spam a little bit. You don't even need to summon spam as much anymore because of XP augmentations in Aeons. You can just sort of inflame for days.
Do you guys still need to have like a really high multiplier and then use the Aegis potions?
We use that. Okay, we use that in one instance now. We've managed to scrap completely Orchard Farm, where you can do that without any Aegis potions. You just need like a high multiplier. White Balverine is the only one we use Aegis of potions for. And then Arena we don't even use Aegis of potions for. We just summon spam, and that's usually good enough. That is good enough, and depending on how much you spam, you're either very, very much safe or you're safe, sort of thing.
God bless you, boys.
I know. But in terms of, like, I guess Hotshot Glitch, it hasn't gone through much change. It's sort of, there's been a little bit of back and forth about Assassin's Rush 2 and 3, but aside from that, not much with Hotshot Glitch has changed in any percent. At least with 100%, it's changed a whole bunch and such. But
I gotcha.
I think the other changes, it's I guess one of the more recent additions is, and I'm going to pronounce this very carefully, it's Jack's Hit. It's not Jack Shit. No matter what anyone tells you. And it's a cool strat Raheem found where basically you just fire your arrow at the start of Try to Stop Jack, and then from Witchwood Colours Gate you just kind of land it on Jack and it just starts the cutscene, so you basically skip that journey.
Yeah,
it saves like 10 seconds, and it's more just for like, even if it saved 5 seconds, I would still probably do it just because of how cool it is. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna just sort of boop this guy from across the map and start a cutscene.
Yeah, you know, just casually lob a sniper. Just pow, got him.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I first saw that, I watched Rehim's run the other day, and when I first saw that, I was just like, "Holy shit!"
At first, I thought this is going to be such a tough setup. Like, why did he do this? Because it's going to be like another reset point. But it was like, oh wait, no, this is kind of okay. As soon as you find the setup for it, it's actually like really easy and basically free. It's free until I mess it up on a good run, and then I'll say the exact opposite.
I'll never do this ever again.
Yeah, but even today, like, new stuff is being found. So, for instance, Avatha, she messaged me and she was like, "Has anyone tested Hero Saving in Childhood to see if like you can get gold?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've tested it, and like I'm pretty sure it doesn't work." I was like, "Actually, let me just test it again," and it turns out it worked. So now the optimal childhood strat is you go to the cheater, you take his gold, you hero save and load, you've got 1 gold. You do that again, you've got 2 gold. You do that again, you've got 3 gold. And that saves like 3 seconds. And even just, that's right at the start of the run. That's like the most optimized split in the whole game, sort of thing. And even now, new stuff's being found just from what happens if you just like do that and it's like, oh wait, no, that actually works.
So does that save time RTA or specifically in-game time?
Specifically in-game time, but I'm pretty sure RTA, it's either the same as the old route, if not about the same sort of thing, because the loads when you're in-game are a lot faster, sort of thing. So rather than going from the menu to in-game, excuse me, it was just kind of a thing of, I tested it and it was one of those stupid strats that saves like 5 seconds IGT and loses 5 seconds RTA. There was another one, I'm not sure if anyone's ever mentioned to you about that teleport strat we do in the Northern Wastes.
I saw it in Raheem's run.
Yeah, I try and explain it sometimes, and basically your response is just question marks. But basically, we do a bunch of teleport. Again came from a dumb idea. I'd message Clean and be like, "I've got a dumb idea," and it was like, "Oh wait, no, this actually saves time. I'm so sorry."
But so the best way I could probably explain it is that whenever you're halfway or more than halfway, if you're whenever you do it, sorry, let me rephrase that. No, whenever you do the teleporter with the guild seal, it picks the closest exit to you, and then whenever you recall, it puts you in front of that closest exit. So if you go more than halfway through a level or through like a long region map, whatever you want to call it, and then you like teleport out and then teleport back in, you're now at the closest door, which could be on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and then you sort of expand on that by using recalling, because from there you can recall back to places that you already want to be. So like by doing some extra teleports, it was kind of a thing of we didn't want to be adding extra steps, but at the same time this was actually faster. If you then do some extra teleports, but then that is basically setting up so that as soon as you get to Snowspire and that cutscene's done, you can just teleport back to where you need to very quickly, sort of thing.
And it makes the journey from, I think it's the Snowspire when you first find out about the Oracle back to Necropolis like really fast.
Yeah, you basically do that in like 5 seconds now rather than like 15, but you lose the time extra from teleporting earlier, but it still saves like 6 or 7 seconds.
Okay.
And it was a thing of, because now IGT is the primary thing, we don't even think about RTA. It's like kind of a no-brainer that people do it now, because it's not like, oh, I kind of want my RTA. It's like, forget RTA. That's old news.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I think it's interesting to see new IGT strats kind of appearing.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point, the old load remover was like different, and so there was a bunch. I remember we talked about it at some point. Was the fear that sort of like using the guild seal to warp everywhere would be like the predominant movement, and that would be like boring and not cool.
Yeah, and I mean, for a while it was faster, but at the same time it was so situational, because stuff like you can't teleport while you're on a quest for the most part, sort of limited that quite a lot. So I know some people had those concerns, but even at the time I was like, those are pretty unfounded, and even if they are, it just means sort of less wear and tear on our hands.
Yeah, don't have to roll as much, don't have to mash the W button.
Exactly. I think in general with the routes, just to sort of summarize, I think any percent has always been about there'd be either be one big strat that would save a bunch of time, and then there'd be sort of a lot of very small strats that save 5 or 10 seconds here or there. Whereas other categories, I say the best way to summarize it is time save with a death by 1,000 strat style, where I just sort of joke that there's an annual where I say, oh yeah, we've got an annual hundo reroute because I'm going back to hundo now and I'm just going to reroute it. And we joke about it, but it actually does happen, because so much stuff gets found in between the time that we run 100% that it's like, oh yeah, we can just change the route and save like 5 minutes every time.
It's nuts. It's nuts to think about. But I mean, you're not wrong. It's like in a run so long, there's so many little things. That's like, oh, hey, we actually save 1 second if we go left instead of right. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So let's do that now. Oh, we also save like, another 30 seconds if we do this instead of that. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Let's go this place and that instead of that place.
Yeah, but then with 100%, I end up overcomplicating it by basically reinventing the wheel every time. So this year we had 2 small reroutes, but it was because new stuff was found after every one. So the first one was using Hotshot Glitch, and then the second one was using Etem mode, which we'll come back to later.
Might I suggest you might consider creating a strat archive?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I had an idea. I messaged Clean about it, and it's only in the idea stage. But I had the idea because I'm the Fable boomer of the community, and that I've been around since the very start. I had the idea of what would happen. I kind of had a cool idea of if I made a video about every segment of the run and how it's changed. So the original 2010, 2013 route, what's changed since then, what was added, what was changed, what made it faster, sort of thing. Because some segments have been very interesting in how they've evolved. So before they would be very sort of slow, laborious, and now they're just sort of the freest segments in the game. So that would kind of be a sort of more archival thing of here's how we used to do it, so that rather than just sort of spreading it through Chinese whispers, there was actually a sort of a base. But I think a strat archive would be good of kind of like a sort of a knowledge base sort of thing. It's something I've wanted to do for quite a while, but it's just I've never been able to because I'm a brainlet. But yeah,
I get you. The last video we did, Ratchet and Clank, one of the things that really, really impressed me and CJ was they're like, "Hey, has anyone shown you the strat archive?" I was like, "No," and like, okay, here's a Google Excel sheet, and it had every planet, and it had like every route that's ever been done, how fast it is. It had like a video associated with it, so you could see it. Had notes on every one of them, and like how hard it was and stuff like that, and it was really interesting to see, like, literally they just took note of everything that had happened before, like showed you a visual of it, and then like what was the most optimal, and they compared them all so that obviously you can go back and make your own route and make your own stuff, but just like they had kept track of everything.
Yeah.
And I think every world record, every video, everything, they did just taking notes. Like, okay, this video was the first run to use this skip. This is the first one to use this thing, and it was just super extensive. And at a glance, you're able to see, oh, this helps him save here. This helped him save here. This glitch was useful for this planet. And then it just shows you all the time saves, and it was really, really, really awesome.
Yeah, but it made your life easier.
It really did. It really did.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's the thing because, again, it boils down to that thing of before when it was a very small community. It was just me that did all those things, and sometimes I would be doing runs, sometimes I'd be doing routing, sometimes I wouldn't want to play the game at all, sort of thing. So, and I'm a lazy bastard, so it was a thing of we never got to do that. But I think with those larger communities, and I guess even Fable now, it's a thing where that's kind of possible. That's kind of something that we could do. If we put our brains together, we could probably do it. But right now, it's kind of a tangent. But have you ever heard of something called the bus factor?
The bus factor? No.
It's very random. It's more to do with like employment stuff. But basically, if there's multiple people on a project, is there a key person? And there's a reason it's called a bus factor. If they get hit by a bus tomorrow, is the project doomed, basically?
Oh, yeah.
And it's
an interesting way to put it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a very dark way of putting it, but at the same time, it's that thing of if suddenly they disappear tomorrow, can it still carry on? And before, it would kind of be, not to like toot my own horn or anything, but back when it was, I would do all the routing stuff, I would say no, but now I could say, yeah, I could disappear tomorrow and things would still be okay, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of like who's the leader here, more or less, even if they're like unofficial. Who's more or less just the guy in charge, and then who has the knowledge to carry on.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's just like a lackey, not for lack of a better word. Who's just like, hey, clean, go do this, and he's like, yes, sir. He just goes and does it.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Wait, have you been reading our DMs?
Clean, I have this really dumb idea. Go test it for me.
Well, no, it's that I'll say to Clean, I've got this dumb idea. I'm going to test it. And Clean's like, you're an idiot or something. Not actually, but like, he'd be like, God damn it, not you again, sort of thing. Whenever I come up with these dumb ideas. But now I've sort of settled down on the dumb ideas for the most part. And now people are throwing ideas and I'm sort of able to expand on them. So it'd be like, oh yeah, what if we did X, Y, Z? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, we can do that with this, and that sort of thing. So things are more of a jigsaw now, sort of able to put them all together as one person.
So speaking of
sort of slowly dropping.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and get that fixed. A little buzz.
Yeah, it's good.
You're good. It's a little buzz. Hang on. I might want to like adjust your cord a little bit.
That's actually just the echo from me like moving the stand. Should be fine now, I think.
Yeah, it's calmed down.
Cool.
I think maybe your stand was like reverberating a little bit.
I need to upgrade this. It's a pile of dog shit.
All right. Well, transitioning from that. So, speaking of multiple people in the community now, so KJ has more or less retired. I don't think he plans on doing any more runs, and it seems like every time he starts doing runs, he gets kind of frustrated pretty quickly, and he kind of drops it. So I'll ask, do you think it's a coincidence that whenever KJ is done, that all of a sudden 4 different people have the world record back and forth in like less than a year?
To be honest, I think it is a coincidence because at the same time, like I mentioned, around the time that KJ was sort of getting his last few runs and last few records, I was doing sort of a lot of the behind the scenes stuff rather than doing actual runs itself. I think my PB stood for like a year or something, and I just never improved on it because I was sort of doing strats and stuff. And like when Aeons was found, that was that kind of a push of, oh yeah, we can kind of make this go faster. And I think around the time that we was last doing the video, Clean just got the record. And that's sort of because at the same time, KJ had sort of a 3.5-4 year reign of it was only him getting the record, and then he would improve it upon himself, sort of thing. So as soon as the second person came in, as silly as it sounds, it's like, oh wait, if the second person can, I guess I can as well. So it was kind of we were all working on new stuff, and then it all happened around the same time. So as soon as the new stuff was being developed, KJ was sort of taking a step down. And I think it's also a thing of, the weird thing is that TLC runners, we always do runs in waves. So there'll be like a big a hundo wave of people, 3 or 4 people would be doing 100% at once. And then we'll all sort of stop around the same time. And then by chance, we'll all sort of go to any percent all at the same time, sort of thing. And I think one of those waves sort of came on where Clean, myself, Cannibal, and I don't think Rain was in the scene around the time KJ retired, but
no, I talked to him and he said he started in like February or March.
Yeah, but I think it was a coincidence, but I think the addition of all the new strats and Aeons and such just made it sort of more attainable rather than having to be very mechanically perfect. You could kind of sort of get away with other stuff.
Yeah, I think I was at a glance, it looks like a coincidence, or it looks like it's more related, but I think deep down it's not all that related.
Yeah, we know in our hearts.
Yeah, because with the Aeons route and Hotshot glitch, you just have so much more time save. And without him playing at all, it's like he's not going for world record. But I don't know. I think I don't know. Records are kind of the whole one thing that I want to move away from with the videos.
World record culture.
Yes, I was about to say those exact words. World record culture of like the world record is the most important thing, when I think it's not always the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like to put it in the nicest possible terms, and I don't mean for Fable by any means, but there's a term that's thrown around which is called grind monkey, which is basically someone who just does like 12 hours a day of improving the run over and over. And while it is impressive, it's like, well, what about all the people behind the scenes that sort of made that happen? And all the people who can get very good runs with a certain route. So, for instance, that KJ's run is still good today, even though it's 4th or 5th place or something on the leaderboards. It's still good. In that time, that was a very, very good run, and it's still impressive to look at today, rather than maybe an unoptimized world record or someone who just grinds 12 hours a day, gets the run, and then sort of doesn't really do much else.
Yeah.
I think you definitely hit the nail on the head of the world. Everyone sort of sees the world record and like that's the most important thing, but at the same time, it goes for anyone. It's the big head honcho sort of person is the one that everyone looks at, but we can just sort of do what we can. I think the Fable community is good in that I think now that multiple people have had the world record, there's less of a world record culture. So
yeah, specifically with Fable, I think it's more like there's now 4 like top runners that are all really close to each other and they're all really good, and so it's all kind of like, hey, everyone's a part of the team. It's a community effort now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not really world record culture we have like top runners. We have people who are very good at sort of specific things or very good at runs, but you can't really say any of them are really better than the other one. They're just sort of very good in their own regard. So some people are better at grinding, some people are better at routing, some people are better at the longer runs, shorter runs, stuff like that.
Speaking of which, so I know we just talked about world records not being that big of a deal, but
it was a big
still,
deal.
it is fun and interesting and a big deal and a big part of the speedrunning sort of zeitgeist, more or less.
Yeah.
So you got the record again after 4 years.
Yeah, that was the word to describe it was surreal. Again, I mentioned that heat wave, which meant I couldn't really play well. So it was a case of new route practice, sort of like segment practice. So one thing I sort of remember doing very fondly, like quote unquote fondly, was for instance, Archaeologist 2 practice. I was losing like 15 seconds there. So I made a save with the sort of perfect thing, set up Archaeologist 2, made splits for every single map, and then figured out exactly where I was losing that time, sort of getting down into the nitty gritty, doing the maths of it, sort of thing, figuring out where I was going wrong. And then with that, I sort of made a comparison thing in live split of target splits of this is what I know I can do with my current skills, put in all these times, and then it was like, okay, this goes under world record. I think I've got a shot at this. But even then, I think I can't remember the exact time, but I remember I jumped from like 3rd place to 1st when it actually came around to actually doing that one run. It suddenly went from this is a decent okay run to suddenly this is world record pace sort of halfway through the run. And that was an interesting thing to deal with. I haven't dealt with those nerves for 4 years, and well, nerves in those regards, like I had nerves when I was doing like ESA runs and such in the earlier years, so it's not like it was a completely unfamiliar feeling, but that feeling of pure panic when you're like fighting thunder and such, even though you know it's a free fight, like the feeling that like I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure other people can agree, but you're fighting and you're just kind of on autopilot with feeling like your heart's like thinking you might have a heart attack before the run ends, and just sort of hoping that you'll hit stop recording before you die. But you joke, but I was genuinely thinking that at the time. But
like, oh man, I hope I hit the final split before I pass out.
Yeah, it's like make sure I hit stop recording, have someone hit upload, and then that'll be good. But it was just kind of a thing of I knew it was possible, but a lot of things came together in that run, even though some parts of it weren't the best. Like I know my white Balverine, for instance, was terrible, and like some other parts, I just sort of it all fell apart. But it was just sort of at the end, I didn't realize how close it was. I think I world recorded by about 3 or 4 seconds, and I didn't realize, but how close it was. Otherwise, I probably would have played a little bit better. But I think I ended up doing a few safer strats because I was so panicked that I was like, I don't want to mess this up. Like, I didn't do the teleport strat because I know I'm going to mess this up and just like hate everything for the next 2 years. But yeah. Once it came to that though, I got the any percent world record, and that was like the thing of that was the hardest category to beat. So at that point, it went from okay, I've got the any percent record, and then rather than improving on it, I decided to go for the leaderboard sweep. So all the main categories on TLC, I wanted to get world record in all of them, be the top dog for a few days, sort of thing.
Did you? Because I actually haven't looked at the leaderboard progression stuff for that. But did you actually do a sweep?
Yeah. So
nice.
It's a bit hard to tell, but it's actually kind of a funny story. So at the time I had 100% world record, the annual reroute wasn't due yet, so I was fine on there. The next one was Marriage, which KJ had a run of, which was really good. And I basically figured out the route, did some runs, and within about 3 hours on one of the days, I remember I had a big sort of Christmas holiday off. And just sort of 3 hours in one day, I managed to get the record, but I would be lying if I didn't say it was just as stressful and I was just as happy when I got that run than I did the any percent record.
Yeah, I imagine.
Because it's such a tight category, like it's so many things have to go right. And I remember just like, even though it was only about 2 hours of running, it was like, it was such an intense grind that at the end it was like, woof, this is done. And then after that point, I think the only thing left was all silver quests. And I said I wanted to get a leaderboard sweep, but at the same time, I wanted to get a leaderboard sweep before the end of the year. And it was like the 28th of December.
Oh, yeah.
So it literally got to right at the end of the year. Like I PB'd at 1 a.m. on the morning of the 31st of December. I thought, okay, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do more runs. And then I managed to get the final record some point during the day on the 31st of December, which sort of finished the sweep, and it just barely ticked that goal of get a sweep of the leaderboard before the New Year's. But I think any percent was probably the first one to go down when Cannibal beat that.
I would imagine, because does Cannibal run the other categories?
Yeah, he did some runs of any percent. Like he did one run which was really close to mine, but then I rerouted and sort of got faster, and then he beat me again. I think I can't remember the progression of 100%. I really should, because that's like my baby. But he did he mostly did any percent, but he did do a few 100% runs. But I think any percent was the first to go down.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
I know the feeling of. I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as soon as 2019 hit, because I remember Hotshot Glitch was found, and I thought, okay, let me get some free world records and get like a 108 or something from a 109.30, and I just couldn't get runs. And then that sort of happened at the same time that stuff at work was happening, so I just ended up taking I basically burnt out hard and took like a 6-month hiatus, which is why I never streamed for like the first 6 months of the year.
Gotcha.
I think I came back for a few 100% reroute, did a few runs, and then just sort of went in hibernation for another 2 months.
Gotcha. I understand. I was gonna say that I know the feeling of like getting big goals. I never had. I run Snap. That's like my main game, and I never had the world record, but I had this goal of getting a sub 21 for the longest time, and when I was finally on a run that was like, okay, this has a legit shot of being a sub 21 run. I've been trying to grind for this for over a year, and I haven't been able to get to this. Like I've been stuck. I got a 21:00.4.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, and that kind of crushed me a little bit.
Yeah, at that point you're almost like, you know what? Forget it. That's like good enough. That's close enough. I can say I almost did it.
Yeah, I was very close. I was very close at that point, but I had to sort of recollect myself. I did take a little break, but anyways, point is, I know that feeling of like the heart's beating out of your chest. Like,
yeah,
I was so nervous. And I had to close chat, and I just like don't pay attention. Just play the game. Just focus. Play the game. Think. Like pay attention.
Like I said, I was so glad that I did that one run offline, because I'm pretty sure I was delirious at the end. Like if my mic was on, I would have been sent to a mental hospital around the end of that run. Just like singing to myself, humming, doing whatever I can to stay sane for those last 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I didn't speak. I literally didn't speak. I was like, I could talk. I had chat open, or I had chat, and people were watching, and people were talking to me, but I was like, don't talk. Shh. Just pay attention. Just focus.
Sub only on, but then you can't actually type /subs on, and then just like, all right, just close chat, get rid of it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I know that feeling. So it's definitely a really exciting time.
Yeah.
Clean got the record a couple times.
Yeah.
So I think he was the first person to beat you, right? Or was it Cannibal?
Let's check. We finally have the world record statistics thing back again. Thanks.
We finally do. Thank you, Pat.
I genuinely thought it was never coming back.
Yeah, I also thought that, because I remember hearing somebody ask Pac, like, is this like a very long time to fix, or is this like a 2-week patch? And he was like, oh, it'll be down for like 2 weeks, and then it's down for like 6 months. Then it's like, oh no. Okay.
So look, any percent. So clean, December, me December. Oh, 27th. Jesus, that was closer than I thought. I guess 28th was when I did marriage. 29th was when I did all silver quests. Yeah, so it was basically like 2 weeks after clean beat my time by about 23 seconds in any percent. And I think, to be honest, Clean's been my buddy for nearly 5 years, and the thing I can say is that he's incredibly, incredibly consistent. Like, he's very much the jack of all trades runner. He can do sort of any and every category well. So, I'd say the thing I'm good at, not only like routing and stuff, but I'm good at like making a route and just sort of belting out a few runs of here's like almost like here's some proof of concept style runs, which may not be the best mechanically. Like it might not have all the movement optimization and such, and maybe I teleported to the wrong spot 3 times, but it's like more of a proof of concept, which is what I sort of excel in 100%, because I can do these, I can reroute 100%, do the runs and say, okay, here's a proof of concept, but then in reality, as soon as someone sort of comes around the corner who's better mechanically, they just sort of beat me and cleans that person at the same time. So I'll do a run and be like, okay, that was good, and then I'll move on to something else, whereas Clean would be like, okay, let's make this go faster, sort of thing.
Yeah, let's actually get down and actually start getting this optimized a bit more.
Yeah. Whereas I'm just sort of the one and not even one and done. I'll do like 3 runs and then be done for a while and then do a different category and come back to it. Whereas Clean's more inclined to stick to one category for a very long time and then move on to another category for quite a while, whereas I just sort of hop between all of them indiscriminately.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like Clean was the first person to take the record back in the beginning of January, and then Cannibal would come by and take it back on the end of January.
Yeah, you can kind of see that graph just sort of, it stays very static and then it just sort of drops again. You can see all the dots.
Indeed. Is the speedrun.com one in game time?
Yes and no. So the fix we had to do, because we was concerned, this was the world record statistics thing was something we was concerned about when changing to IGT, because it would basically give no time. So what we had to do was we had to go back to every single old run and set their game time to be the same as their real time. So that's why you see just like a massive drop at some point, because that's when basically the changes happen. So you can see there's one run which is a 1:15, which I don't think is actually right.
Is that the first time Clean takes the record? No, I wouldn't be right.
No, so I don't know actually. I think it was because at that time KJ hadn't done any % runs with the load remover or the new load remover. So there's like a bit of a weird bit in the middle.
Transitionary period.
Yeah. Which
so then it goes back to being KJ again. Yeah. So history is set right there. But yeah, there is if you look at it, there's a really big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, Clean's a good guy. I have nothing but the utmost for him. I can't wait to meet him at GDQ, to be honest.
Hell yeah, brother.
1 month.
I'm also excited to meet y'all.
Yeah. You don't have to record this bit, but what day are you arriving?
I'll be there on Saturday, and then I'll be staying there the entire week, and I leave on Sunday.
Did you manage to get a hotel sorted?
Yeah. I got
one. Nice. Yeah, I think I arrive on the Friday, because obviously I'm coming from the UK, but I'll probably be like dead for most of the evening, but should hopefully be around on the Saturday, and I can come around and meet everyone.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be jet lagged to hell.
Yeah, apparently it won't be as bad coming there, because it's going west is where the jet lag hits. But it's at the same time it's a 10-hour flight, so
not fun.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah, but you'll get to get some sleep and then wake up on Saturday, and then everyone will start showing up. So
yeah, exactly.
It could be worse, because like day 0 GDQ can be like really weird, because like some people are still arriving. The event hasn't really started, but people are kind of hanging out, and then it's like stuff really starts kicking off on Sunday. But
yeah, I'm the day -1 person. At the same time, I arrive at like, I think my flight lands at like 6 o'clock in the evening, by which point it'll feel like 11 o'clock as soon as I get off the plane, not including getting through security and such. So I'll probably just want to sleep then, and hopefully that will reset my sleep schedule to something.
Maybe. You won't have a very degen schedule, but we'll fix that.
We'll put a stop to that.
Okay, back to the video.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Cannibal, like as a runner. I saw him sort of start running a little bit towards the end of the year, like right after the video came out. I noticed that he was doing a lot of PBs and doing a lot of runs, but I think I kind of moved away from the Fable Discord before Hotshot glitch was found.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know too much about Cannibal and like what he does and stuff like that. So tell me about.
He's terrible. No. No. It was actually interesting because I saw him come up because at first sort of nobody was really paying attention when he was starting to get runs down. And I was just sort of keeping an eye of, oh, this guy seems interesting. But at the same time, he wasn't really like, it was kind of a thing of he would submit some runs and maybe leave 1 or 2 comments and then that would be it. So it was like, oh, mysterious person sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I could sort of see within about 2 months' time, because I'm pretty sure within about 6 months he'd gotten the record. But I saw within about 2 months, I'm like, yeah, this guy can do it. I knew that with everyone. I knew it with Clean, I knew it with Raheem, I knew it with him. I was like, this guy, he's got the ting.
Yeah. He's definitely got it. I don't know whatever it is, he's got it.
It's the ting, you know.
The ting. The ting goes.
But even then, like, since then, even outside of doing runs, like I've seen him become sort of more and more of a member of community to the point where he became a Speedrun.com verifier, and now he's a full Speedrun.com mod and like leaderboard and Discord mod and everything, because like he's been such a great contributor and such a like a positive force for the community sort of thing. Like you'll never hear a bad word out of him sort of thing. He's always the one that's cheering people on, and he's really good. I can't wait to meet him as well.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited to hang out with the Fable boys.
It'll be great.
So I guess it was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, just like it's a thing of Cannibal's very good at like specific categories, like because his forte is mostly any percent. But then when he said, right, I'm gonna do some 100%, I'm like, oh god, here he comes, sort of thing. Because
you're shaking.
Because I know he's sort of a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm. I guess could you say the same thing about Raheem?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's the same as well. Of like, as soon as I see him doing 100%, I'm like, yeah, go Raheem. But at the same time, like, oh god, I'm in danger, sort of thing. It's like that one, that one picture of Ralph who's like, I'm in danger, sort of thing. It's kind of like that whenever any of them do 100%. To be honest, but like again, I saw Raheem come up, and because I knew that I heard sort of rumors or someone said that he'd basically been doing nothing but practicing for 6 months behind the scenes. And it was interesting because I'd seen him in my chat and I just thought, oh yeah, he's just like someone who follows me and watches my streams and kind of likes Fable speedruns. And it's like, oh, he's doing some runs. Oh, he's good. Oh, here we go, sort of thing.
Oh, he's good. Oh no.
Yeah, he's got the ting. He's got the ting. I think he's extremely sort of good mechanically skill-wise. Like he's very good at like optimizing any percent down sort of thing. Like it was a case of I couldn't have optimized it down the same way that Cannibal and Raheem did because, I don't have that mechanical skill sort of thing. Whereas they do, they can bring it down and they can optimize every last thing down to sort of the milliseconds and have it count.
Yeah, I was talking to him earlier, and he was telling me that he got his first PC in February. So he wasn't actually doing any runs, but he's been watching Fable runs since 2016.
Yeah.
So he's like well aware of all the things, and he'd played the game before, and he like knew all the stuff. And then it was just like a matter of like once he got his computer and he started playing, he just got to work. And he said there was a few weeks, or maybe a month, I forgot exactly how much time he said, where he would play for like 6 hours a day, go about his day, come back, do a couple more hours, and go to bed, and just like dream about Fable. Like every day.
Yeah.
So he was a man obsessed. And that's pretty crazy. It's good to have those kind of guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like, because at the start, I guess that person would have been KJ, but then as soon as the second person comes around, it's like, oh, interesting, here we go, because it was the same thing of because KJ kind of retired. It's kind of, okay, where can this run go? And then it just kept getting pushed lower and lower. It's like, whoa, sort of thing, to the point where before people were saying that a 107 was like the limit of the run, and now a 104 seems kind of attainable. Not by me, by any means, but it seems kind of possible, sort of thing. So it's
better
very interesting to
RNG.
see. Yeah.
I think Raheem's Necropolis lost him like 30 seconds or something. So
Necropolis.
Good
Don't
old
get me
Necropolis.
started. Yeah. If you want no Necropolis, run Anniversary.
Is that what do you mean?
In Anniversary, Necropolis has the same RNG every time in that you know where to dig.
Oh, it has a set RNG. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So a meme has been thrown around, which has become less and less of a meme over the years of Anniversary is a better speed game. Because even though casually TLC is better, there's been rumors floating around. People in hushed whispers will say, I think Anniversary might be a better speed game. Because partially because of that, and also because of the what the hell is the glitch called? Menu manipulation, that's the one.
Menu manip's a big one.
Yeah, because originally it was just gold, just getting gold, and now it's a thing of getting XP, and now we max out basically everything before Orchard Farm.
Oh my god.
So we're going pretty hard right from the get-go. And then that plus a few changed movement tech things, better RNG in the graveyard and no RNG in Necropolis. There'll always be the naysayers, but it seems like Anniversary may or may not be a better speed game.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Man, but what a crazy year it's been since the last video.
Yeah, it's been weird because at the same time I feel like not much has happened, but it was because everything happened sort of not long after the video came out. Like, I'm pretty sure let me find out what day exactly did the video release, because
was the end of September or was it the end of August?
Let me have a look. Speed docs. 31st of August, 31st. Job me. Because I'm pretty sure Etem mode was discovered around the same time. I say, one sec. Let me search my videos. Yeah, 13th of August. So it actually came out slightly before. But back then, that was a thing of, that was a thing that kind of, it showed up and it was just kind of a neat trick you could do. But now, it's made its first debut in an actual run in 100%. So like, that's one of the big things that's changed in 100% is that we can now do Bowerstone North early consistently.
Consistently.
Yes, exactly. We can do it without launching off some trash and hoping for the best sort of thing. There's a cool setup we can do because even though I found the glitch, HotshotWire, he was the one that kind of tweaked it and made it like, because now there's different versions of Etem mode. There's like red Etem mode, white Etem mode sort of thing. But no, there's like different versions of it and we can kind of use them in different ways. And because of that, we can now use it to enter Bowerstone North early, basically losing like 30 seconds, but then save a bunch of time by getting stuff like Solus early and such. We did test it for any percent, but unfortunately it's slower and I'm kind of sad about that. I really would have wanted it to be faster.
It'd be nice, but...
Yeah. But I
You're
feel
stuck
like...
with Aeons, unfortunately.
Yeah, even though like the last few months it's been a bit more quiet aside from Etem mode V3, in terms of actual things that have been concrete found, I think on the horizon there's a lot of things coming up. So even before the trophy was found, I said trophies, they seem pretty broken. There's some way we can use these to our advantage. And then Hotshot found the version of Etem mode using the trophies. And now that seems like sort of our key to things like prison skip and such. Not quite there yet, but it's like if anything's gonna do it, that'll probably be a part of it, sort of thing. Which is fun because now
thrown around a little bit.
It's a thing of the only strat that's ever been named after me has gone from a neat tidbit to something that might actually break the game. So
it's pretty nuts.
I'll be collecting my royalty check every time it's mentioned as soon as prison skip's found.
There you go. I was gonna say, Hotshot seems like he's been a pretty big boon to the community. He's found Hotshot glitch, which is a really big glitch, and then he's been working on Etem mode stuff.
Yeah. Before, well, the way I describe it, and I'm sure he'd take this as a compliment, is he's kind of the mad scientist who's in the corner coming up with crazy things, and most people sort of don't really get what he's doing, but at the same time, there's a few people that are there, sort of like going, yes, sort of writing stuff down with it.
He's got a couple acolytes.
He's the mad wizard in the corner, sort of coming up with stuff, and we're sort of trying to figure out how we can use it and such, which I think is a good thing. It's very good, sort of like, because he's got a very creative mind. And he can tackle things in very different ways to anything we would try, sort of thing. So we would have never tried going into the XP menu and doing the thing that led to Hotshot glitch, for instance. So I think having those people in the community is very much beneficial. It's very good.
I agree. Yeah. I wonder if it's more or less beneficial to have someone who's not a speedrunner be the glitch hunter.
I think
it opens you to more diverse glitches, but they might not all be useful. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think we also have that variety now, because we have sort of people who can come up with ideas who may not necessarily do runs, but have got maybe a very technical or programming mind or a very creative mind, sort of thing. Of they maybe know how the game ticks, or then maybe they can figure out what makes the game tick, and either that or just being very creative with stuff. So, like Hotshot, I guess, who's very, I guess, quite technical, but also very creative with his methods.
Indeed. Okay. I think that covers the gamut of what I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, I think the last thing is really what's sort of the future of the runs and such. I think.
Go ahead.
I think one thing that's, because we always have these holy grails and such for runs. Obviously, prison skip is the big one, but at the same time, I feel like that may not like ever happen to the point where I've put down a $300 bounty, or there's a $300 bounty on it that's been up for and sort of increasing for several years, and no one's sort of. I guess Hotshot's the closest person to claiming it, because there was a partial prison skip found in TLC. An anniversary. We call it not quite prison skip or second skip. Because you don't actually skip prison itself. You just skip the bit just after prison. But again, that uses Etem mode. So I think that, and we've also talked about like sort of a little bit more thinking outside the box rather than limiting it to, okay, how can we? Because the three big things we'd want to skip are arena, graveyard because of the RNG related, and prison. But then I've started thinking a little bit outside the box of, okay, what if we skip those, not by doing anything within the quest, but something without the quest. So an idea I've had is to basically, if we could figure out how to start Gateway to Hook Coast early, that would be like, I think that's the next biggest holy grail, which maybe is possible. Because if you can start that early, and this is going to be some insane rambling a little bit, so
go ahead.
So Gateway to Hook Coast, you need to be in Darkwood in order to start it, which you can unlock right from the start of the game. And that's the only thing that lets you get to Hook Coast, because Hook Coast has no entrances and no exits. And you need to get to Hook Coast in order to unlock the Northern Wastes. But then once you've unlocked the Northern Wastes and Hook Coast, you've basically got every map you need to complete the game. And I think that's the biggest issue with potential skips, is that you still need to figure out a way to get to that map, sort of thing. You can't just jump over something and then you're there, sort of thing, because each map is its own separate area.
Right.
So it's a thing of, if we could activate Gateway to Hook Coast early, we could basically do that from the start of the game and skip. So we would skip potentially Bandit Camp, the first Archaeologist quest, White Balverine, Arena, Archaeologist 2, Graveyard, and Prison. So it'd be like all of the bad bits of the run, or all the bits that people hate, would be gone, and it would suddenly turn into a 40-minute run overnight, which would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. Even if you couldn't, skip Bandit Camp, like maybe it's like right before Arena. Even if you could skip Arena and or Prison, just like such a huge chunk of the game removed.
Yeah, exactly, because a lot of the run is sort of in those few areas, because it's Arena, Arc 2, Graveyard, and Prison sort of take up about maybe half an hour of the run or something. And it may actually be that's the case, because the idea I've had with this is there's one area which you may not be able to unlock right from the start of the game that you would need to finish the game from Gateway to Coast, which is Knothole Glade for the Thunder fight at the end of the game. So I thought, you would maybe have to play up till the first Archaeologist quest in order to do that, because that unlocks Witchwood, and then from there you could go to Witchwood and get to Knothole Glade, which is fine. But the very first area you go to and try to stop Jack is Witchwood Cullis Gate, and it's a thing that I've wanted to test of, if you never enter Witchwood Cullis Gate, and the first time you enter it is during Try to Stop Jack, does it unlock? Because if that is, then you could technically go to Gateway. If there was such a thing was found, you could go to Gateway to Coast right from the start of the game. Because that would unlock that Cullis Gate, which would let you go to Knothole Glade, but without that, so...
a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, mad rambling over.
And still, it's good that there's hope for something out there.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, okay, we have ideas of things we could do, interesting concepts we can work towards. Whether they're going to happen or not is up in the air. But just the idea of like, hey, we'll get there one day.
Yeah. And I remain in hope for everything except for Prison Skip. So plug. I've got a video in the works which is tentatively titled Prison Skip and why it will probably never happen, because I'm putting that title because I'm so confident it will never happen because of all the stuff we've tested that just leads us nowhere. I just feel like it's never going to happen, and the only way to skip it is to sort of think outside the box sort of thing and skip it without even doing it.
Yeah, skip all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Clean, I almost called you Clean. Well, Etem.
Yeah.
Thank you for chatting with me. It's been a very interesting talk.
Yeah, it's been... I hope you've had enough content from that. It's been over an hour.
Yeah, I would say this is about as long as last time.
Yeah, I got a lot to say. That's why, because you sent me the questions, and I immediately I've got a lot to say about all of these things.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll be using a lot of snippets there. So
sounds good. But yeah, cool. I guess that'll do it. Do you have any sort of